If you had the opportunity to live in a children's wonderland, would you choose anywhere else? We don't just say, we do. It's the Stain City way.
A very good evening to you and welcome to your Monday edition of Real Talk with my name, that's what I want to say, with myself, Anele Mdoda. And it's so good to have you joining us again. Listen, to call my guest a warrior is an understatement. She survived physical and sexual abuse inflicted upon her as a child, a period of alcohol and cocaine addiction for a decade, saw her life spiral out of control till she inevitably hit rock bottom. She enjoyed the greatest pain a parent should never have to go through, with the loss of not one, but two children. And as if life hadn't tested her enough, she has also beaten cancer not once, but twice. She's an activist, she's an author, she's a warrior, she's my Instagram crush. She is Zoleka Mandela. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I stalk you so much on Instagram.
I don't think you stalk me as much as I stalk you, though.
Oh,
I
really?
do.
So basically you and I know everything about each other.
Course,
We should just like call it a day and go home. Your family, if you guys ever ran out of Z names, you're more than welcome to use my second name, Zintatu.
Oh, okay.
Because I was looking, Zinzi Zenani, Zaziwe, Zamaswazi, Zintle, Zondwa, Zelabo, Zolek.
And the list just goes on and on.
So do you guys sit when a new child is coming into play and you're like, what Z word could we name?
Yeah. No, actually, the reason why, you know, we're all Zits was actually because of my grandmother. And, you know, for her, she wanted everyone to know who were her children. You know, my grandfather having, you know, her being a second marriage.
Wife.
Yeah, of course, second wife. And so, you know, so now you know, if there's a Z Mandela that is...
You fall under Winnie.
There you go.
Mom Winnie.
No
she's
confusion.
She's probably watching. She's like, hey,
Yeah.
hi, Anele. As for you calling me Winnie. Where do you feel most at home? Because I'm reading your book and you know, you're in Swaziland and you're there and you're there. It could be a place, it could be a person, but just you growing up, where did you feel most at home?
It would have to be Orlando West.
Really?
Yeah, and I think that also has a lot to do with the period of time I lived there and the fact that Umakulu still lives there.
Okay, so that's where...
Yeah, that's home.
Know.
We actually call it Parliament.
Really?
Yeah.
So if you're being summoned
it's a nickname,
there...
yeah, of course, Parliament. So, you know, that's where she is. That's where home is for me.
And is that where you had to move into a bigger house because of your grandfather's lungs?
Exactly.
And the doctors told Umam Winnie that we need a bigger house.
Exactly.
That's where you had the 8 o'clock curfew.
Yeah, hey, 8 o'clock curfew. And it just seems so much smaller now, you know, obviously because we're so much younger, but there's so much history there in that house, eh?
Yeah.
So much history.
Favorite meal you've experienced in that house?
My grandmother's an amazing cook,
I
so
hear so.
anything that she throws down, you know, is
Does
a
she
favorite.
like cook you a great meal before you get addressed? Like if there's like an intervention for someone, because she strikes me as that person.
No.
Like she's gonna make you some lamb chops, and while you're eating, she's like, okay, Mdanam. So
No, yeah, of course. No, but she cooks on a Sunday. Obviously not of late because of her health, and you know she's.
This is when you guys take over.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, but it's usually on a Sunday. So we used to have like, you know, all the family members there, and you know, she'll make you oxtail. There's curry. The works. You just name it.
She puts her foot in it.
Yeah, no, she does, Shem. She really does.
So growing up as a kid, did you ever feel like displaced and just tossed around because then you didn't live with your mom and then you were living with your aunt, who I actually picked up you are very fond of, Anzenani.
Anzenani.
She's like your spirit, actually.
Yeah.
So did you ever feel like tossed around and we're moving, I have to do this, or was it very exotic for you? Because also I pick up a very big imagination with like you in your head.
I think for me it was I struggled with that a lot because I couldn't understand why I just couldn't be with my mom and my dad. You know, I just wanted to be with my parents. So I couldn't understand, you know, why I was being, you know, moved from pillar to post and you know, why these things happened to me, you know, in those various places that I was, you know, and to have experienced all those things. So obviously being older now,
When you
there's an
understand the
understanding.
history
Yeah, there's an
and-
understanding. And, you know, I only have that much more respect for my mom and my grandmother.
Yeah.
You know, for what it is that they've had to sacrifice,
Yeah.
obviously.
And I think this is going to be strange, but my favorite story in your book is how you hid a grenade once. I know, right? How crazy is that? Out of an entire book, that's my favorite story.
Yeah.
Where your grandmother and your mother got pulled over by cops, and you were in the back with your school bag.
Yeah.
And the cops are going to search the car, and you boldly said, "Give me the grenade, I'll hide it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk me through that. Like,
And I know I don't really, I can't really say I remember everything in detail, but I can tell you of all the times that mom has always shared that story, you should see how she is. And I remember for a very long time, I used to always roll my eyes like, oh, mom, please, again.
Not
I think
again.
everybody knows the story,
Yeah.
you know, and, you know, I always say, like, I just wish, you know, I had a pen, a notebook and a pen to just write these things down, you know, because they're so important.
They are, though.
They really are.
do you think that was in you watched someone, or it was in your DNA? It must be in your DNA, you're a Mandela. Because you didn't even flinch, right?
Yeah.
The cops are coming, there's a grenade in the car, you're just like,
Right.
I'm a kid, they won't search
Right.
me.
I think it was second nature.
Yeah.
I think I was just so surrounded by that all the time, so it just became a norm. I don't think it was anything like, oh my gosh, you know, that was anything different from, you know, my daily life.
And
you know,
did you ever feel like your life was in danger, political danger, when you were growing up? So at all times you just felt...
I don't know. I guess I don't know. I don't know if I would describe it as political danger. You know, this was my life. This was, you know, how I lived and how my family functioned. Although, you know, family didn't necessarily mean it was, you know, blood-related individuals.
Yeah.
To me, it was, you know, these comrades that were living with us were like, you know, family members. You know, coming back from school, you know, I remember how we used to, you know, sing freedom songs, you know, in the back of the house. And this was just my life. So it wasn't, I don't think I felt that way. Of course, there were things that happened, you know, where I was put in a place that, you know, no child should
be in that situation.
But, you know, these are the things that made me who I am today. And funny enough, I am very thankful for all those things that have happened to my life, because, you know, I finally feel I'm in a place where I feel like I have a purpose in life. And I haven't always felt that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that? Do you know what? Because I always look at politicians' kids, and especially you. I mean, your grandfather is Nelson Mandela.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter what purpose you pick. You will always compare your purpose to his.
There you go.
Right? And be like, yo, like the entire world stopped when he passed away.
Yeah.
How do I ever match up to that? Do you ever, is that why now you're like, okay, I've got a purpose?
No, well, no. I mean, I really feel if I was anybody else, I obviously wouldn't be afforded the platforms that I have been afforded now. I just think, you know, I don't want anything to do with politics. But I know that my grandparents have always taught me that, you know, our purpose in life is to better the lives of others.
Okay.
And so maybe this is my type of politics, is making sure that I use my life, you know, for the betterment of others, for the benefit of others.
That's
If
actually
that
very
makes
powerful.
any sense.
That's actually very powerful. And I know you said it and you think we're going to pass now because, you know, you just said it. But because reading your book and knowing your story, and as a mother and listening to your story, and as somebody who's lost a family member to cancer, you're right, this is your politics.
Yeah.
This is how you fight and you make the world better.
I believe that.
All right. Oh, more with Zoleka Mandela. After the break, you have to stay with us. And welcome back to Real Talk. Zoleka Mandela is a firm believer that it is never too late to rewrite your story, and she has done exactly that. The name of her autobiography, When Hope Whispers, was published in 2013, and it just keeps getting sold out. I mean, we tried to go find it. They were like, sorry, sold out. But good news is it is getting republished and will be available for your purchase again. And I'm pretty sure at 6 o'clock today, after her and I have finished this chat, you're going to be like, I need the book. There's this misconception, right?
Yeah.
That the Mandela children, the Mandela grandchildren have had it easy.
Right.
So then I read your book and you're like, oh, you know, I went to Woodmead for school and we used to catch a taxi from Soweto and it would drop us off. And I'm just like, oh, Mandela kids got a taxi.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So get rid of that misconception for me.
Yeah.
Like, because on the outside it's like, oh, well, you're a Mandela. You live a life of luxury all the time. You're drivers and bodyguards.
Yeah, and I think, you know, that's why I openly share my life with so many people, is to try and break that stereotype as well, because a lot of people seem to think that just because you are a Mandela that, you know, your life can never be penetrated by, you know, addiction and, you know,
abuse.
sexual abuse and, you know, things that I've gone through. And I think it's really great for me. It's quite heartwarming when I, you know, interact with people who, you know, feel they can relate to me. And, you know, because for some reason, I don't know why Mandelas are suddenly no longer human beings who don't have feelings, who don't have, you know, these things happening to them. But I think it's important for people to know that we are human beings and, you know, our struggles are all the same, you know. My doctor always says to me, you know, she can't stand this thing of people always talking about, oh, I'm a breast cancer survivor, because in actual fact, we'll all survive something in our lives.
Yeah.
You know, and that for me, I agree with her so much, because I just feel like, you know, we all go through so much in our lives. You know, people have survived more than I have gone through worse than I have. The only difference is that I have been lucky enough to have had the support I've had, and platforms like this, you know, Real Talk, where I'm able to share my story.
And you did have an incredible support, because I just felt like your family never gave up on you.
They should have, but they didn't.
They didn't. And you write a lot that, oh, I've put my family through so much. I've put my family through so much.
Yeah.
Did they ever say to you, just stop apologizing? Just stop it.
Well, I guess in a way they have. You know, I'm still taken aback when I hear anything positive coming out of my mom's mouth or my grandmother's mouth, you know, for them to say this, a simple thing like, I'm proud of you. Sometimes it really just makes me want to cry, because I'm just like, you know, for a person that has put them through so much, you know, I still feel undeserving.
So when they say I'm proud of you and you feel undeserving of the pride, where do you go back to in your lowest point in your life? Like when your mom's like, I'm proud of you, do you think of the day you burnt down the house, you almost burnt down your room?
Of course, you know, and you know, I'm you know, especially considering my mom. I mean, you know, I've written about my relationship with my mother, and it's just been, you know, I'm glad to say that we found our way back to each other, you know, and I would not be sitting here and the woman that I am today without, you know, the support from my mom. And I just feel like, you know, my mom has gone through so much, not having had a mother who was there, you know, physically, you know, and I find it so amazing that she's been able to, you know, be the woman that she is and be the mother that she is, you know, not having the support that she is to me now, today, you know, and it's just, it's
something else.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Do you find yourself comparing the relationship your mom had with her dad, the relationship that you had with your dad, and the relationship that your children had with their fathers?
Of course, I think about it a lot.
What do you think when you're thinking?
Well, I mean, I just kind of, because we always talk about how history keeps, you know, repeating itself in our family, and I just. I've always actually just thought of my mom as both mom and dad. And we always think of my grandmother as mom and dad. You know, I know that, you know, for example, my mom always sends Father's Day messages to my grandmother. And I do the same thing to my mom, because they've always just been these incredibly strong women who are able to just be the mother and the father, you know, in the relationship.
So when your grandmother says something to you like, you don't need a man, you know, toughen up. Trust me. I think it was after Libra cheated on you for like the 10th time.
Yeah.
You have got a thing for star signs, by the way, hey? Every man that she speaks about in the book, like, besides the love that we have now, every other guy is either Capricorn, Libra,
I know,
Leo.
right?
What's that about?
And yeah.
Entire calendar.
The story was for me, well, it was my story to tell, and I
Yeah.
just felt like at some point I needed to just, you know, keep them
Protected, nameless, faceless.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So I was asking, when your grandmother says you
Yeah.
don't need a man,
Yeah.
when did you start believing her? Because I feel like as women, when we start believing that, then the right man comes, right?
Yeah.
So, and I suppose she'd said it to you a number of times. And the fact that you
Yeah.
say your mom sends your grandmother a happy Father's Day, and you
Yeah.
know, you do the same to your
Yeah.
mom. So you've seen the example of us not needing men. When did you start
Right.
believing it?
Definitely not shortly after that. You have to remember that, you know, I'm still an addict at that time.
You're in a haze. You're in a
I'm
haze.
still, you know, quite active in my addiction. I'm still making all these choices because at the end of the day, as much as I was hearing this, you know, as much as I knew that, okay, these were, you know, two strong women in my life who didn't necessarily need, you know, a man in their life. You know, I'm doing these things. I'm engaging in this sexual activity, and I'm using the drugs, and I'm drinking, and I'm, you know, choosing these men and these boys because I, you know, somehow needed to feel better about myself, and you know, so there was a lot of that, and you know, it's led me to the love of my life,
Yeah,
Thierry. You
yeah.
know, and he's just really, you know, really made me feel like I'm a better woman for, you know, having him love me, and loving me despite everything that's in there, because in actual fact he knows more than what I've written in there, and he's accepting of who I am, and so is his family.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I just I'm lucky, and I'm very blessed.
You've said you started having like alcohol at age 9.
Yeah.
And then by 13, you say you were a full-blown alcoholic.
Yeah.
How are you affording all of this? Because surely alcohol costs something.
Yeah.
You know, who's giving you this money? Who's, like, how is the supply, you know,
Yeah, okay,
kept up?
so it's real talk, so I have to be real.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously I had uncles that were, you know, buying the alcohol. I used to steal, for instance, cigarettes from my grandfather's bodyguards.
Okay.
I used to steal from a relative's pockets. He used to always keep, for instance, weed in the pocket. So I knew it was okay for me to steal because I could never be confronted. Because if you confront me, then I'll expose you. Why are you
carrying weed in
why
the
do you
house?
why exactly do you have weed in your possession and that kind of thing? So it was that, and obviously much later, into my 20s, I didn't know I was doing this until I got into rehab, where I was told I was prostituting myself. And I remember feeling so offended because I was like, but, you know, I'm not a prostitute. I can tell you the number of men I've slept with. I can tell you the number of men I've had a relationship with.
No one has ever given me money for having sex
Yeah,
with me.
you know, exactly.
Yeah.
So he said to me, no, but okay, so you need to explain to me then, how is it that you afforded these drugs? And I was like, okay, so I was very selective in how I did that because I didn't need to buy drugs.
So you never purchased drugs?
I mean,
Somebody would always bring them for you?
there were times that I did, but you know, I did date drug dealers. I did date people who were using drugs. So you know,
so it was always readily available for you.
Of course.
The book is called When Hope Whispers. Please take my word for it when I tell you that it is a compelling read. More with Zoleka Mandela after the break. In the meantime, if you're looking to spruce up your home, well, we've got it covered for you. Simply follow the details on the screen right now, and you could win yourself a 5,000 Rand e-voucher to enable you to do just that. Real talk, like Zoleka just said, real talk. We'll be back in a bit. Welcome back to Real Talk with Anele right here on SABC3, where the stage is yours. Breast cancer is the most common cancer affecting South African women, with it being the most prevalent cancer amongst white and Asian women, and the second most prevalent amongst black and colored women. Early detection simply is the difference between life and death, and today, in ode to National Cancer Survivors Day, which takes place on the first Sunday in June, yesterday, all over the world, I am with cancer warrior Zoleka Mandela. Now, this is an excerpt from your book. You say, I thought I was grown up, but in reality, I was very troubled. From the time I was barely 8 years old up to age 14, I'd been sexually abused by some of the adults in my life who should have been looking after me. It's a story for another time and another platform, but the scars from these experiences have never truly healed, and they have everything to do with the hurt, defensive teenager I was becoming. And then you say you even went on to have self-esteem classes. We'll touch on that later. Now, when you were being a rebellious teenager, who did you think you were rebelling against?
My mom. Yeah, my
Because
mom.
of the blame that you left me,
Right.
you know, at that point in
Yeah.
time. You abandoned me
Yeah.
and all these things happened to me.
course. I
So
felt
now
that way.
deal with me.
Yeah, I felt that way. So I think I made my mother's life extremely difficult. I couldn't have been an easy child. I think that's quite obvious. You know, bringing me up was very difficult. And I hope, you know, that one day, I know I'm not the daughter she wanted, in the sense that I don't think she ever, you know, sat within herself and thought, this is how, you know, the life that I bring into this world, you know, these things would happen, or, you know, that kind of thing. But I work towards being a better daughter to her.
But do you not think that, you know, with the bad daughter that you say you were,
Yeah.
and with everything that you think you put your mother through,
Right.
that at times she would laugh and be like, of course she's rebellious. By nature, she comes from a rebellious home. Yes, her rebellion was perhaps misguided,
Yeah.
but look at her grandfather.
Yeah.
Look at her grandmother.
Yeah.
Look at her mother.
Yeah.
Of course she was going to be rebellious. It's just
Yeah.
that it was directed in another way.
Yeah, I don't know, you know, and she always says to me that she gave birth to the strongest woman that she knows, and I'm just like, Ma, really?
Yes, she's
You know,
right.
how does that even how does that even work? But I think my mom and I are very similar. And you know, when you were just talking right now, it just reminded me of all the times, like, you know, she would call my dad and say, can you please come and deal with Zoleka, because, you know, whatever reason or whatever it is that I did. And his response would always be, Zozo, you just like your mother, you know, and almost as if he just felt so defeated, because he's like, what do you want me to do? Like, you know, so yeah.
When you fell pregnant in high school with Zenani,
Yeah.
you say she didn't talk to you until you gave birth.
Yeah, she didn't talk to me for a while.
What do you wish she had said to you when you told her that you were pregnant?
I don't know if it was specifically saying something. I think I just wanted her to say something. It wasn't a specific, you know, or maybe I just wanted some kind of reaction.
Just
know?
even to shout at you or to slap you or something.
Yeah, because it was wrong, you know, and my father, his response was, oh, ha, 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 you know, Zozo, you've just made me a grandfather, and that was it. And I was just like,
No, that's not what I'm looking for.
yeah, yeah.
And when she finally did speak, what did she say? Because I know when you gave birth, in your haze, you saw her take the child and walk out, and
Yeah.
that made you feel amazing.
Yeah, I did. I remember I kept saying, Mom, I'm the one who's just given birth. And she was like, sorry, I'm going to my granddaughter. Bye. You know, that was amazing. But I think, you know, for her, it wasn't so much what she said, but just the support. Because obviously, you know, here I was, you know, giving birth to a child, and, you know.
And you're a child.
I'm a child,
Yeah.
exactly. I'm a child. And, you know, I don't even have the support of her father, because he didn't want to have, you know, Zanani, Casey,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
You know, so it was, more than anything, it was just, I think, for her to make sure that, you know, I have the support that I need, which went a long way, of course.
So in hindsight, you know, the child is there and it's beautiful, and you kind of regret every other, you know, thought you'd had of even terminating, right?
Yeah.
But did you not think long about having an abortion because you're in high school and you're pregnant, and the father's like, hey girl, this is how you get rid of this problem, I'm not part of it? Did you not consider it for a long while?
I think, because, I'm young. I don't know how I'm going to take care of the baby. I don't even know what that means to be pregnant. Like,
Yeah.
Nobody ever spoke to me about sex or pregnancy, none of that stuff, So for me, I think, I guess maybe it had at some point crossed my mind. But that was the reason why I left home, was because I didn't want to be given, I didn't want them to make me terminate. Not that they would have said so, I don't know, because
Okay, so you were against
here
it.
I
You were
am
like, I'm keeping
thinking
it.
I'm leaving because they're going to tell me to get rid of this baby, and I just cannot. I just cannot do it. So I literally just left with just like a few coins in my pocket to pay for, at that time, Maxi Taxi.
Yeah.
And nothing else. And I was just like, I don't know where I'm going, but
And you found
it's-
yourself at your nanny that raised you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you told her everything, and she was like, yeah. I thought this day would come, kind of vibe. You said you and your mom never had talks about sex.
Yeah.
So, and this is the thing, like in the book, I picked that up, that there was never like a conversation between you two. But then at times, it felt like you guys had the most open relationship. Like when she was talking to you about one of your boyfriends, Libra, when she's like, you two are dangerously in
Yeah.
love and it's gonna end
Yeah.
badly.
But that was much older.
Okay, how old are you then?
In my 20s.
Oh, okay. So by then you two are opening up to each other.
Yeah. I mean, my mom and I were very close, and maybe sometimes for me, I used to always think maybe we were more friends than mother and daughter, and maybe that's where it kind of, it all went wrong, or I don't know, But it was much later.
Who's
Much
the
later.
one person who's seen you high of drugs and you really wish that you could take that back? Like take that back, them seeing you in that state?
I mean, I think I hid it very well from the family. I don't think I've had a situation where my brothers.
Okay.
My brothers.
Your brothers, you wish they'd never seen you like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And what's your relationship now with your brothers?
My relationship with my brothers is great.
Great.
Yeah, no, I mean it's great. They're living with my mother now in Denmark, but yeah, I mean it's not something I'd want. I wouldn't want to be that kind of example, obviously, to my siblings, and my sisters actually, for that matter. I do have sisters, so I expose them to that too, more than anything. But I can't say my grandmother has seen me, completely in my high state. My mom has seen me intoxicated. We had such an open relationship. We used to actually drink together. So, yeah.
I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but when I look at your rehab, and you're talking about rehab in the book,
Yeah.
you make it sound like a breeze.
Really?
Yes.
It wasn't. I thought it was going to be a breeze. I really thought I was going to be chilling, like, you know how it is in the movies
the
with
movies.
the glasses, and you're like,
And the scarf.
I have my,
And the stuff, in white.
I honestly thought that was going to be the situation, but it wasn't. It was difficult.
I know you said you wrote like 60 letters to
Yeah.
people, to yourself,
Yeah.
just dealing with everything.
Journal entries.
Entries and all of that.
Yeah.
Who was the most important person that you wrote a letter to whilst you were in rehab?
I wrote a lot to my daughter, and I wrote a lot about her. And I know that my addiction counselor at the time, I guess he felt some type of way being an addiction counselor and being more experienced, and him being, dealing with what he's dealing with and that kind of thing. But I know with him, his concern was, I remember he said to me, Zoleka, I just have a bit of a concern because you speak, when you make your journal entries, you write as if Zenani's still alive. So for me, it was, that was one thing that made me feel uncomfortable. And of course, the other reason I left rehab after the primary care, because after completing the 6 weeks, I was supposed to then continue. Right.
Yeah.
I didn't, because that phase was supposed to be about dealing with Zenani's passing, because they felt like it was time for me to move on, and it just felt so unfair. And I just felt like, but how do you know what it is to lose a child? And I don't think anybody can tell me how to deal with losing a child,
And when to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So for me, it was, I think that made it easy for me to leave. Yeah.
On the other side of the break, I want to talk about, and this this touched me so much when you went to where your child passed away and you picked up her sock. Like, that touched me so much. We're going to talk about that after the break. Stay with us. And welcome back to Real Talk with Anele, where it's been nothing but real indeed with Zoleka Mandela. I'm sure you've been blown away by some of the accounts that she has shared with us today, which are part of her rewriting her story. Now, 2010, the World Cup happens, and you're in rehab, and the concert happens, and your daughter's is being driven from the concert, and she gets into a car accident and she passes away. Then your brother and your aunt come and get you out of rehab.
And my dad.
Your dad.
No, in hospital.
Your hospital. Come and get you out and be like, listen, this has happened.
Yeah.
Was it more difficult to deal with the death because of the high profile nature that it was? Because every newspaper you turned, the TV was on, everyone was just talking about it. So was it like, were the walls closing in on you and just like surrounding you in an unbearable way?
You know, I lost my only best friend, you know, and I lost her at a time where I was truly and absolutely just undeserving of her and my son, Zwelami. And I think the way in which it all happened, you know, I was in hospital for 10 days. So 10 days before she passed away, I had tried to commit suicide. I had that you know, drug-induced psychotic episode where I tried to burn myself alive with her and her brother in the same house. It was that, and then, you know, the fact that I then missed her 13th birthday, and I remember every day how, you know, she would go to the fridge because she had, you know, put a calendar on the
countdown.
Yeah, you know, she did the countdown. I remember she kept crossing down, you know, the days, marking down the days, obviously, you know, leading to her birthday. And, you know, then I had my dad and my aunt and my brother come in to tell me, you know, that she had been killed in killed by a drunk driver. Yeah.
Do you think you'll ever forgive yourself for that?
No.
And you're okay with it? You're like, you know what? Is it because you think you don't deserve the forgiveness, or you don't think you can reach a level where you forgive yourself?
I don't think I deserve forgiveness, especially when I consider everything I put her through. And, you know, she's not in a position to see me, the changed woman I am now, and to see me, you know, physically trying to, you know, make changes in my life to become a better mother, because that was always my thing. And I was just having a conversation with my grandmother the other day, and I was like, you know, Ma, from as early as 9 years old, I always just wanted to be a mother, you know. And then
I know, apparently you used to put like material inside Barbie, so that Barbie would look pregnant.
You know, I always wanted to be a mother, and then, you know, there I am, and, you know, Zanani chooses me as her mother, because I always feel like children choose you as, you know, as their parents.
I agree with that.
And, you know, she chooses me as her mother, and then, you know, I get this opportunity to finally be a mother, and I just completely just screw it up, you know, and over again, because you have to understand that this wasn't something that happened in just the period.
It wasn't an episode, it
when
was
she,
continuous.
Exactly, this happened from when she was born to when she passed on. I was abusing drugs and alcohol, like, through and through. And it's, you know, it's something I have to deal with for the rest of my life, because I made those decisions. I decided to, you know, rather go out and use the alcohol and abuse drugs and go and have sex, whoever it was, you know, over my own children. And there were so many times where, you know, Zanani used to actually come out, okay, she was very dramatic. Everyone knows her.
No,
to be very
really?
Zanani was so dramatic, and I remember there were so many times where she would like literally beg me to stay, you know, and Ma, please don't go out, and I would go, because I just felt like, you know,
it's more fun out there.
It was more fun out there. I didn't have to deal with myself. I didn't have to, you know, deal with whatever it is I was running away from, you know, so that was always an easier option for me.
Is that why you refused to do chemo for 3 months when you found out that you had cancer? Because you were just like, well, cancer happens to bad people, and I happen to be a bad person.
Yeah.
So
and even though it came at a time that I didn't want to die.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to die. I wanted to live for my son, if anything. I wanted to live for Zwelami. But I think it was the shock of the fact that you know, for me at the time, I felt, you know, cancer was a death sentence. So I was going to die now. I didn't want to die. I was going to die. And here I have this doctor telling me, in order to save your life, you have to lose your breast. And I was like, okay, I've lost my child. I've lost 2 children now. I'm being diagnosed with cancer, and I'm told that the only way to save my life is at the cost of my fertility, because then it meant
you couldn't have another child.
I may not have another child.
And I've lost 2 children. Like,
and then I lose my breast, because I've breastfed both my children for 2 years, like my mother did. So, you know, it was another loss. And so I was very angry. I was very scared, and in denial, you know, about the diagnosis and what that actually meant for my life.
And I said I'm going to touch on when you went to where your child passed away, because you went there to kind of see where she took her last breath, and you saw her sock. What did that mean for you? Was it a sign? Was it a communication of sort? Did it take you deeper into depression?
I think it was it was a very painful thing. You know, I still, to this day, I still can't use, you know, that section of the highway. I can never, especially at night, I can't. It was a very painful thing, because as much as the family was, you know, there with me, and, you know, everyone else was there, you know, it's almost like, you know how it is, the worst part of a funeral is when everybody leaves, because
2 days after the funeral.
You know, and it kind of feels like, you know, people are doing this and it's just part of a thing, and I'm just like, I still cannot understand what's just happened and why it's happened. I'm the one that tried to kill myself just a few days ago, and then, you know, instead you know, my daughter gets taken. Unnecessarily, I still don't understand it.
So when your grandfather says to you, this happened, and I think you should be, you know, you should be the person to lead this, you know, the grief department.
I remember that conversation.
To tell us about that conversation with your grandfather. What was he saying to you, and what did you hear?
Yeah. I mean, it was shortly after we buried Uzeni, and we were at our home in Orlando West, and I remember I was sitting on the mattress, and he came in, and he, you know, they obviously had the chair pulled up for him, and he sat down and he said, "Darling, come here." And I remember at the time I was like, you know, quite overweight. I remember one of the things I said was, "I will break your knees," type of thing. Like, you know, I'm so heavy. And he was like, "No, come." And I said, "Okay, Granddad, I'll come, but I can't sit because I'm also old," like, you know.
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, come and sit down." And he then made me sit on his lap, and he said to me, "You know, you're not the only one to lose a child. You know, I've lost a child too, and there's so many women out there who have lost children. And, you know, the reason why this is happening to you is because you're the one who's supposed to give hope to those women out there." And I think at the time it was, you know, there's just so much that's almost like a blur in my life because of the level of trauma, you know, at the time. So these, you know, at that time, I don't think I really understood what he was saying, and it's, you know, only much later, obviously, and maybe in the process of writing the book, that I was like, you know what, I think I actually get it. Like, sometimes I wake up and I'm like, I don't think what happened to me is fair. But when I think about, you know, the amount of things that, you know, lessons or cautionary tales that people have, you know, they gain from my book, I feel like I don't know if it's making any sense. I feel like I'm not even making sense.
No, you are making sense. So you get it now.
Right.
You get it now.
Right.
But in the middle of it,
no,
you weren't getting it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that's fair. You're not supposed to get it like that. Otherwise, that would be scary.
Right.
You know, you can't lose your child in a car accident who's 13 years old
and
then be like, "Oh, God, I get it."
Right.
You know, you can't lose your child that you've just given birth to, you know, and you're like, "Oh, God, I get it." You know, I think that wouldn't make sense. And when your grandmother, she writes this in the foreword, when she says, her decision to live was the battle half won, is so powerful for me, because it's almost like she always knew you'd get through this. She was just waiting for you to get it.
Yeah.
Are you there?
I am. I mean, it's really quite profound that she said that, because every day is. I know it sounds corny, but like I wake up and I'm like, Jesus, I'm just so blessed. I'm able to, like, how many people do you know that wake up every day and do a simple thing like share, something of their life on Instagram and actually impact somebody else's life,
Yeah.
And that is a big deal. And I know a lot of people used to always say, she likes attention, so it's so typical of a Mandela child. Yeah, this and this and that. But, I wake up every day and I'm able to stay sober because, I abused cocaine for
the longest of time.
The longest time, decades in alcohol. And this year I'm celebrating 7 years of sobriety in August. So, I'm able to wake up and make these decisions that I believe not only better me as a person, but, just remind people that they can still make better choices for themselves. And somehow I feel like, I hope that, my daughter's like, looking down on me and she's like, Ma, finally.
Yeah,
it took you so long, but
Speaking of blessings, when we come back, one of her biggest blessings will join us on the couch. I call him Mr. Bashala. Oh. Come back to us. So she's the first to admit that she is a proud wife of an African man, okay? A proud Congolese wife, umakoti ka Thierry, okay? If you follow on social media, you know every other post is her and her hubby and how they support each other. And basically Zoleka sings his praises and we can see the glow in her. I'm just surprised this man didn't roll in here because she cooks for him so much. Like, I'm just surprised you're not taking up the whole couch because every post she puts up is you and like she's cooked.
I'm complaining every day. I've gained so much weight.
Really?
Yeah.
You like, stop it.
Hey, I'm like, stop it,
I'll have fat-free water, please.
Yeah. I'm 92 kgs. It's a lot.
Not for an African man.
Not for an African man.
I want to talk about that day in 4 Ways when you guys met. You were picking out jeans, ne? So she picking out jeans and then this guy just comes and be like, yeah, buy these ones.
Oh, yeah. So it was 2012. And I walked into Edgar's.
2011, December.
Oh, 2011.
Yeah.
Okay. So I walked into Edgar's and you then pretended to be selling me a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
You pretended to be selling her jeans.
You're going to be on your toes. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember how you were like, why don't you go and put them on and please just come out so I can see what you look like in them.
Yeah.
And you're like?
As you did.
Hey. Okay, but now you ask for her number. She calls you and then buzzes you once and then you don't call her.
Yeah, he didn't call me.
Yeah, I didn't call.
Why?
I was busy. I was busy with life.
So she calls you and she gives you a mouthful.
Yeah, no. Did you give me a mouthful? Yeah, she's a wife and you called me. I was actually texting her while she was trying to call me.
That's not true.
But that was like 3 days later. But it was all right. All worked out.
It all worked out.
Yeah.
First date in the dark at her house. She's been load shedded in this candle.
ESCOM issues.
Look, I think ESCOM helped you guys because it made things quite intimate.
Yeah, he got very tired. We had to go and sleep, hey?
Yeah. What are you talking?
Look, fast forward to now.
Yeah.
Just, we're speaking to her and, she's fought cancer and she's this warrior. I want everyone who's watching to understand your journey because you are there and you are supportive at all times. What is it that you want to share with us about her and her fights and everyone else's fight with cancer?
I think I had to make life as normal as possible. We had to be a normal couple. We had to go through fights. We had to fight through the same issues everybody go through instead of having sort of sympathy towards her. And every time now there's an argument, there's an issue, she's sort of reminded that no, I'm not interacting it because of her current status or whatever she's going through. So life was normal. we did whatever we needed to do, despite the challenges that she was going through.
And tell me about the foundation.
The Zoleka Mandela Foundation.
Yes.
It's everything that embodies her. It speaks of road safety, breast cancer, and women and youth initiative. And what's exciting about that is we have first-hand experience in terms of what she's encountered, and that's what we advocate for. So that's the Zoleka Mandela Foundation in a nutshell. We try and do work that have immediate impact. With regards to road safety, it's more a global platform where we go and advocate for policy changes, infrastructure development around schools. We've also launched a program last year for the Department of Transport, the Road Safety Empowerment Program, which goes back to the youth and teenagers who are mostly affected by road carnage in South Africa, you know, and the only relationship they have with the road is when they're 18, they're acquiring their driver's license. But then what happened to that space of time?
There's no etiquette. Like we're not raised. South Africans, that's my crowd. South Africans, we don't. Cars, guys. Cars are big machines that are weapons. It's a big machine. That are weapons,
They're
right?
weapons. So you need to understand it.
So we're not taught road etiquette. We're not taught how to drink responsibly. You put them together.
You put them together. It's chaos.
Terrorists on the road.
So the program takes teachers and trains them with regards to road safety, makes them understand the importance of road safety, and then they go back into their respective schools and implement road safety program within that school and within the specific area. And it's very difficult to sort of take one general solution and give it to everybody. A child from Alexandria has total different infrastructure from a child from Sandton.
True.
You know, so the only person that will be able to understand that very clearly are your teachers, law enforcement that are working within that specific area. But your immediate interaction is the kids have the teachers in the morning when they leave.
Guys, thank you so much for your time. Mr. Bashala, thank you for your time.
No, thank you for your time.
And for bringing out the good time. Zoleka, thank you so much. Her book is this. You have to go and get it. When Hope Whispers, trust me, you want to go out and get it. It will change your life. There's nothing more to say except for the fact that I was quite humbled to have spent the past hour with this African queen and, of course, her king. I'll see you guys tomorrow. I have a legend in studio, one of the original divas of Kofifi. Thank you for your time. Good evening. Bye-bye.